Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the current conditions where we do have a major storm out west that you can probably see on screen. We also have a pretty impactful storm system along the eastern seaboard that you can also probably see on screen. And we're going to be talking about these storms. First off, just what's going on right now and the upcoming impacts of these storms throughout the next day or two. And then we're going to be talking about the next 10 days, the temperature pattern, the upcoming storms, because there is many more expected, and all sorts of things with the upcoming pattern. So again, we can see there's a storm out west, pretty big one there, and then a coastal system here for the east coast. So let's start with this one out west. We can see that there is plenty of snowfall here for Idaho and Montana. These storms are really, really hard to forecast, and they're also really hard to just go over because they're always so stretched out. As you can see, this storm is literally just taking over so much space right now, and the elevation is so confusing. It's so hard to tell where snow and rain is coming down. It's just not the easiest thing in the world, so I'm going to try my best here, but bear with me. We do have some mountains here in Wyoming. And really tall ones at that. Some of the first snowfall, honestly, in recent memory, I would say when you get your first snowfall for the United States, it's either in these mountains, or one of these really tall mountain ranges here in Wyoming here, because there's a couple of these out there that are very, very high elevation. We can see that these regions in Wyoming are seeing plenty of snowfall, even heavy for some spots here in these blues popping up, indicating extremely heavy snowfall. If you were under the white where it becomes blue there, as you can see near Riverton there in Wyoming, and it truly is coming down as snowfall, that would be nearly whiteout conditions in the blues. I made this color table by hand myself so that I could know what each color means as far as the conditions on the ground. Pretty cool story there. We do have some snow showers for a few different states like Nevada and Utah here. More like showers, as you can see, as these are more spotty regions. But near the Salt Lake region there in Utah, we're seeing some of that, and near Elko. They're basically along I-80 here in Nevada. We're seeing some snowfall come down. Now, it's really where Colorado, where we're seeing the most persistent snowfall here. Outside of the far northern Rockies, we are seeing some heavier snowfall in some spots near Aspen, near Grand Junction as well. In the higher elevation regions there of the southern Rockies. Again, we're seeing the bright whites and even the blues popping up in some spots, indicating, like I said earlier, very, very heavy snowfall at this point. And Denver does play later today. It looks like some of this precipitation is heading towards this region. I said in another video that it would be possibly snowfall, but it does appear more likely to be rainfall, obviously, in the lower elevation region, which is pretty still high elevation, obviously, in Denver, but just lower than these very tall mountains in Colorado. Now, underneath this all, we can see a lot of rainfall for Arizona and New Mexico taking place. There are some spotty showers in between these regions, and here, very, very spotty. And then here's another big event happening currently. We have the sprawn out precipitation, but I can tell you there is a nor'easter low right here. And this storm system is going to kind of just move up the coast just like this. We'll take a look at the model guidance in just a little bit, but if we turn the centers on, we should see a lot of low pressure down here. This is where our actual low is at, and it's going to bring impacts to a lot of these regions, and here we're going to be watching very closely. I can tell you in Virginia it's already getting drizzly and probably going to start to get really heavy here as this band starts moving over these regions. Very, very interesting. Same story for southern New England as well. Very stormy conditions here. For a lot of these spots in here. We're really seeing some wind, some heavier showers, and it's only going to get heavier as we can see these bands that are yet to come on shore for a lot of these regions. So definitely expect a nasty, nasty day today for a lot of folks. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at the upcoming pattern. Well, I guess we'll take a look at what's upcoming with these storms first off, but then the upcoming pattern beyond these storms and what is to be expected over the next 10 days, which does get us to early November now, which is very interesting. Now, here we are taking a look at the modeled guidance, and this is actually a little bit before where we're at right now, so I'm going to move this forward to about now, and probably more like this one. As you can see, it has this precipitation on shore. Maybe even, it could be this one, really. I mean, we have the precipitation moving on shore here, and we have our 984 millibar low pressure center developing here for the plains east of the Rockies. And this is just bringing so much snowfall later today for the Rockies. and beyond. As we continue this on towards tonight, we can see this low is all the way up here is a 985 in between the two Dakotas there. So well north of where it's at now, and we can see a lot of snowfall here on the western front of things, and a lot of rainfall nearby the low here for the plains. So definitely a stormy low pressure system, not one of those drier ones. We can see by this point this evening, we're still going to be seeing some storminess for the eastern seaboard. The low is somewhere in there. And we do see our next storm system potentially moving in already. So we're going to see that first one move out. It does develop a low or a cold front, better yet, underneath. And this is a pretty high precipitation cold front. So we are seeing some storminess along this, sweeping across the nation. But we already see our next storm system moving into the northwest here also, which is going to be another interesting thing heading into early Tuesday. We see this bring some snowfall. It kind of dissipates, and we get our next storm system moving through, but all the way by Wednesday, October 26th. We still see this cold front here that does have a low near it. So this could be a warm front, honestly, to the north and a cold front underneath sweeping. It's very, very hard to say. It is an interesting look, though, to say the least. Eventually, this does move through and become a pretty major snowstorm up there for eastern Canada, as you can see. Still, by the time we're reaching Thursday, October 27th, seeing some storminess out west, just not quite as much. That moves through, does flare up some storms down south. Could be some severe weather down here for the deeper south. Definitely something to watch down there. We see another storm system moving in through the northwest here on Saturday the 29th. Very La Nina-like, this conditions we're seeing. We get kind of a nor'easter, but an inland storm system here. It moves up the coast just like a nor'easter would, but onshore. Usually brings a weaker storm system, but definitely some rainfall associated with it here on Halloween Day, unfortunately, for a lot of the northeast. And for a lot of the west, we see snow and rainfall for certain spots. It's been a dry Halloween here in Virginia for like my entire life. So this would be the first time on Halloween we actually get some stormy conditions, unfortunately, here. Monday, October 31st, definitely needs to be watched. By November 1st, a lot of this moves northward towards New England for the most part, and we do see snowfall beginning again for the Rockies. So very, very interesting stuff, and this one looks to bring a cold front as well underneath. So definitely a lot of action happening here in the upcoming pattern, a lot to track. We do track it every single day, so be sure to subscribe to the channel for those updates. Again, we upload every single day. Here is the total precipitation through the next 10 days. No surprise here that it is very intense. In the grays, we're seeing anything basically a tenth of an inch or less. Your whites are nothing. So if you're in the whites, you're expecting practically no precipitation, but it is very limited, the areas that are seeing no precipitation here. Your greens will be a tenth of an inch to half an inch. Your blues will be half an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be an inch to 2 inches. Your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then your browns will be 5 to 10 inches of precipitation. Definitely some areas in the northwest seeing those browns, and a lot of areas for the east with multiple storm systems seeing these reds at least. So definitely some more storminess on the way. Total snowfall, no surprise here either, is very, very high. 200 inches potentially somewhere in western Canada. 200 inches. Can you imagine that over a 10-day period? If you're anywhere in the grays here, we're expecting a dusting. If anything, your blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Your purples will be 6 to 10. Your pinks will be 10 to 20. Your pastel blues will be 20 to 30 inches of snowfall. And then your pastel pinks and purples will be about 30 to 48 inches plus. Again, somewhere in here is seeing 100 to 200 inches of snowfall. Definitely these mountains here near Vancouver Island would be my guess. But regardless, really, really good snowpack developing up here in Canada, by the way. I talked about this yesterday, but cold air has to move through that region to get down to the United States. So if it has ice down there on the ground, it's just going to make this even more potent. So expect those next Arctic blasts that we see to be a lot more potent than the ones before it. No surprise there as we are reaching later into the year, but definitely something to note that is going to be much different than what we saw in earlier October. Now, as far as the temperature pattern is concerned, we are expecting warmer temperatures overall for the east and colder temperatures overall for the west. It's a negative PNA, and it forces the warm air around this region, basically the opposite of what we've seen for the past couple of months. And that warm air is going to last for the eastern United States through most of the model run. We do see the occasional, though, cold front that tries to make its way eastward. It's not an Arctic blast because we're not seeing this cold air blast from the Arctic regions. What we're really seeing is cold air slowly making its way over from time to time from the west. We can see it's almost separated at this point with warm air in between. Just a normal cold front for the most part. We do get some cooler days here, especially near the end of October here. A couple of cooler days there along the eastern United States, but it looks like things warm back up for around November 1st through 3rd time frame, which is the next time frame we see here. So we're going to have to see when this next cool down will be for the eastern United States, but we're not seeing it here over the next 10 days as of now, according to this model. But again, be sure to tune in daily as we do go over these things every single day, and we will figure out when the next cool down will be for the eastern United States. So again, be sure to subscribe, and you will get those updates every single day in your subscription box. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.